1983 says, beware the impulse to think of this as just a big misunderstanding. They are the locus of evil in the modern world. March 1983. June 1988, that was another era. Puts his arm around Gorbachev. Soviet Union journalists. Do you still think that the Soviet Union is an evil empire?
With the Russian
No.
Navy right nearby. Politicians one day.
Okay, so what's the point? Reagan decides in 1984 to stop excoriating the Soviet Union as evil and to say, as he does in his speech in January 1984, what if Jim and Sally and Ivan and Anya happened to meet, say at a bus stop, and the rain starts to fall? What would they do? Would they debate the relative merits of their systems, or would they pull out pictures of their kids and talk about how they want the best possible future? So that's Reagan's line beginning in January 1984. That leads Reagan on the path that when Gorbachev comes into power in March of 1985, he's very much eager to meet with Gorbachev, who he hopes might be a closet Christian, and then to engage in diplomatic negotiations with him. So you see what I'm trying to do here? Kennedy, Reagan, in each of their cases, there's learning and a shift, therefore, away from condemnation of evil to diplomatic engagement. How did the United States respond to the Russian Civil War? I think I'll finish with this. I said before, what happens in Mexico is not unique. That in the case of the Russian Civil War, we follow a similar pattern. Wilson refuses to recognize the Soviet government. He tries to provide covert support to the anti-Bolshevik forces, somewhat like he tries to provide support to the constitutionalists in the Mexican Civil War. You can allow arms to go forward to the people you like. You keep arms from going to the people you don't like. Next one, Christian. And there's a covert operation. This is where my academic career started. My first published article while I was still a graduate student. This guy, very interesting figure, Xenophon de Blumenthal Calmetiano, of Greek-Russian background, graduated at the University of Chicago, businessman, was in Russia at the time of the revolutions of 1917, was contacted by American diplomats in Russia. How about it? Would you be willing to organize an information gathering organization for us? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm not doing anything in the way of business now because of the disruptions of the revolution. So he organizes an intelligence gathering operation. Who are his assets? Who are his sources of information? Anti-Bolshevik Russians. What are they gathering? Russian military forces order of battle. Where do they pass that information? Have you ever heard of the Ace of Spies, Sidney Riley? You've heard of Sidney Riley? Did you see that episode? Sam Neill plays the Ace of Spies, Sidney Riley. So what's that story about? What's Sidney Riley's ultimate objective in 1918?
Assassinate Lenin.
Assassinate him, or in one version of the story, take his pants off and make him walk down the street naked. Calmetiano is passing intelligence to Riley and to the French agents who are seeking to overthrow the Soviet government. I said there was an attempted assassination of Pancho Villa. It's a parallel. Before the CIA, we did have sort of improvised volunteer intelligence action. Go ahead. You're going to read about American Relief Administration in the early 1920s. How was the American Relief Administration used here? We provided flour, bacon, blankets, medicines to the whites, and we helped to prevent those things from going to the Reds in the Russian Civil War. We had limited military intervention at Veracruz in Mexico. We have limited military intervention at Archangel and Vladivostok. The valiant American soldier, terribly outnumbered by the Red forces in the Arctic, where American forces pushed a couple hundred miles inside. I don't have time to go into the detail of that. We can come back to that this afternoon if you want to learn more about those military campaigns where American soldiers technically served under British command in North Russia. And then the next slide, Christian. In eastern Siberia, where we were supposed to be just sort of neutrally guarding the Trans-Siberian Railway line, but the Bolsheviks understood that that Trans-Siberian Railway line was the line for military supplies to move from Vladivostok out to the white forces at the front. So they tried to blow up the railway lines and to disrupt that traffic, and therefore there was an armed conflict between Americans and Bolshevik partisans in eastern Siberia. I showed you a pictorial representation of Bolsheviks being surrounded. There's an actual map of the military situation that repeats the point that we made at the outset. And then Christian, okay, I think we'll skip this. If you're interested, we can come back to this this afternoon and talk about Wilsonianism and how it's influenced American foreign policy since that time. We'll just stop with keeping the focus on Russia for you because I've almost exhausted the time. Time for a few questions?
If you have